What's up, guys? Foxwolf here. And today, ladies and gentlemen, is the 1st of August. Or I could say it's already the 2nd of August. Quite frankly, it is 11 o'clock. Guys, I'm not going to talk too much information about everything, guys, but I will say this, though, guys. There is a few topic announcements here today, and I'm just going to get through this first topic quickly. So, guys, this month of August, I have more GLOAT podcasts. Tomorrow, I accidentally recorded a podcast when in reality, I realized it was actually not the Mr. GLOAT podcast. It was Shotgun Saturday Night, which is a new series, not a podcast, but just a fun show about bare knuckle boxing, because I like to keep bare knuckle boxing as its own topic because it's still controversial and I don't want to talk much about it in this podcast of Mr. GLOAT because I think I should keep it as a separate view to other viewers around the world because I'm promoting it to other international countries out there. So that's my main reason for it. So take that for what you will. So technically, what am I going to do? Well, guys, I'm going to have a long... guys, this month of August will probably be one of my... probably my few months of doing GLOAT podcasts. Because, guys, I already created a new YouTube channel, which is now called Mr. GLOAT, which I might do it as a gaming channel or a channel similar to Mr. Beast. And probably I will keep talking about boxing, but I'm going to go to a new YouTube channel because at this moment, the Foxwolf YouTube channel is really not a place for GLOAT podcasts. So I'm actually going to graduate this until the 100th episode. So that's it. My final announcement, guys, on May the 16th, 2027 will be my last year that this Foxwolf YouTube channel will retire. So after the Mr. GLOAT podcast, I'm going to do 100 episodes. I've already done 86. This is 87. So when the time comes, we'll see what happens until the future, and we'll see after it's over until 2027. So with that being said, stay tuned for the future. But anyway, guys, with all that being said, guys, that's all I have to say for the announcement. So technically, guys, that's all I have to say. At this moment, this is episode 87, and I've already recorded out other interesting episodes of podcast and other ideals, and I've already came out. I've released 15 episodes last July because it was the month of July for crazy celebrities and famous people that passed away, and world title fights in boxing, and wild moments in MLB of baseball, and yeah, there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened in July, and I don't think nothing bad's going to happen in August, but I do have like 10 episodes. Probably 10 or more episodes. I'm already going to end out the Mr. GLOAT podcast as its 100th episode on maybe of September. And it might be the end because I'm already preparing to do the 100th episode. Not just after Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford, but also a day later until Naoya Inoue and his other fight that's going to happen one day after September the 13th with Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford. So my 100th episode will be similar ideals, which will just talk about Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, and also Naoya Inoue, which will be on the 14th of September. And to be honest, it's not going to be a big episode to talk about, but it's going to be a full 2-hour episode. The 100th episode of the GLOAT podcast is going to be a 2-hour episode. And guys, I have said this before, a half an hour episode of Mr. GLOAT might not be that long. 45 minutes, it's okay to be decent to talk about updates, as I'm doing now. Sometimes a 1 hour episode is really too short. And sometimes 2 hours can be a little bit too long if you're doing these episodes. And just like Shy Lily and many other VTubers that do a lot of Twitch content, and a lot of the times they don't play video games or sing music or have fun. They just start talking to chat for over a few hours, like probably 3 to 7 hours, and it's not that entertaining because they're not doing a lot of entertaining stuff. And it's hard to know when you're watching the famous moments of famous clips or when someone's going to do a flashbang. Or so it really gets irritated to know when the oh my god moment happens. Because guys, if I was actually playing video game like Raft or even The Forest or The Son of the Forest, which I think I don't know if Markiplier and his friends are still playing that game. They haven't played it. I've even seen them play the new game. Interesting. I've even seen the full version of their return game. My point is, guys, if I was collaborating with anyone and doing video games over 3 or 4 hours, I would be like, it's entertaining, but not when I'm talking right now, because as it's been 6 minutes since I've been talking about this, so I don't do episodes that are like 2 hours long, because doing a 2 hour podcast as me talking to myself isn't that entertaining. Also, guys, consider it's 11 o'clock. I don't want no one to wake up. It is late. Also, guys, while we're at it, how about we drink a new Frappuccino oat milk caramel waffle cookie. Another Starbucks. Just to fill up my energy. If I can... there we go. Jeez. That's funny. Why is it sticky from the bottom? Oh, crap. I got my pajamas sticky. Okay, why do I have my pajamas stick? What the frig? Oh, gosh. I got sticky. Okay, this is... Oh, my... All right, well, this is not good. Not a good way to start off this podcast. Cheers. I will say, though, guys, consider this is oat milk. Not much of a fan of it, but sure does wake you up. I might not buy that again, but still tastes good. All right, guys, so let's get to our second topic, guys. Sorry for talking too much. And this is just going to be like a 40-minute podcast, so it's not going to be that long. So, guys, my second announcement update will be interesting. And that is mostly this. So for everyone watching this, so what am I going to do in the month of August, ladies and gentlemen? Well, that will be a secret, guys. So considering the last week of August, I do have some specialty to talk about another weight class of the road to the undisputed champion. I've already talked about both heavyweights in women's and men's boxing. I talked about the light heavyweight. Is it going to be a women's division or a men's division? Well, to be honest, it will be another nose itching video here. You know what? Stop getting wet. But it will be the road to the undisputed. I will talk about information, but I'm not going to tell you if it's men or women. But the end of August, it will be a podcast of doing 5 episodes, as I'll be talking about the Ring magazine. I'll keep for a little bit here as a separate to any of the other titles because of it for the lineal title. But I will only talk about the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO. The IBO, I'll just let it whiz it by. But the heavyweight for lineal champ and the Ring magazine, well, the Ring, I will talk about the lineal, but the Ring magazine, well, who knows? It's going to be a 5-part documentary episode of The Road to Undisputed, and I love doing those. So I will upload those on the final week, depending on how many episodes I have here. I have a lot of interesting episodes to do for Mr. GLOAT, but when it comes to UFC, I'm going to take a while and a break to do UFC because at the end of the day, I think it's better to just take it easy because I haven't watched UFC 6 before in my life, just like how I watched the first 5 UFCs and how I've learned a lot about them. So it's going to take a while for me to review UFC fights again. But talk about information and such, well, we'll see what happens. So, ladies and gentlemen, with everything going on, guys, with all that being said, because it's been over almost 11 minutes now, the updates for all rankings in boxing have not been updated yet. The WBA rankings might be updated sooner than later, but after trying to look up the WBA rankings in boxing as a whole, it was pretty tough. It was pretty tough for me to look up the rankings and know who was in the rankings and who was this, who was that. And I even tried to look up on box.live. And to be honest, July the 31st, 2025, the rankings might have changed, but I'm not going to get into it. So, guys, last month, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we got. On July the 2nd, we had Michael Hunter, Moses Atama, Jarrell Miller, Lanier Perreault, Martin Bakali, Phil Pergovich, Deontay Pettigrew, Nelson Haisa, Dave Allen, Mahmed Achar, Murat Gassiv, Justice Hooney, Daniel Perreault, Yoande Toirak, and Joseph Goudal. But, of course, when that time came, ladies and gentlemen, there was actually other boxing out there that we might have not known because, guys, the WBA already released out their rankings on July the 31st, but I guess the full rankings haven't been released yet. I'm trying to get my mouse to work because my computer mouse isn't really cooperating with me. Oh my gosh. Give me a second. So, all right, let me see. Let me just put all these rankings on so I can keep track of what I'm looking for. So, guys, those were the rankings for July the 2nd. And this is what we have for July the 31st for the WBA. So, Michael Hunter is still number 1. He's the Gold USA Gold Champion still. Moses Atama, he's still number 2. But surprisingly, Lanier Perreault, that was number 4, turned out to be number 3 today in the rankings. Martin Bakali was number 4, but now he was number 5, but now he's number 4. Phil Pergovich went up to number 5, while Jarrell Miller was number 3 last month ago, but now he's number 6. Nelson Haisa, well, he went up 1 spot to number 7, with Dave Allen going up 1 spot as the WBA Intercontinental Champion at number 8. Daniel Perreault, that was number 13, goes up 4 spots to number 9. And of course, guys, we have another boxer in the rankings called Gurjan Havhanisian, a big, large 6'7" Armenian fighter with over a bunch of wins in his career, barely under 10 wins. And he is an Mr. Baked Potato Head guy, but I am surprised that he's, considering he is the Continental North America's champion right now, for what you can say, just like Daniel Perreault is the USA WBA champ. So take that for what you will. Manuel Achar, that was number 10. Well, he goes down number 11. Murat Gassiv, he goes down number 12. Justice Hooney, he goes down 1 spot to number 13. And Yoande Toirak and Joseph Goudal, well, they stay in their spots to number 14. And Joseph Goudal, the Oceania WBA champion, well, he's still at number 15. So interesting changes have been made as we speak. Also, guys, which makes things interesting, guys, because, guys, I even looked up the rankings here, and actually the WBA already released their Bridgerweight division, which is kind of crazy because the Bridgerweight already has their division online as we speak. So, yeah, guys, it's going to be interesting. But speaking about one boxer, I don't want to get into the other rankings, but the WBA does have some interesting names here that we might not know of, but they might make it big. And speaking about the Armenian fighter, so Gurgen, a guy that's ranked number 48 in BoxRec, now he's number 10. He picked up his ninth win and his 8th KO on July the 18th against Chris Thomas, a guy with 15 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws. And the guy didn't really have anything good to bear with because Gurgen throws a punch on and Chris goes down for the count and scores out a knockout. And then we go to round 2. Guess what? Chris goes this and then he gets back up, and then we go to round 3, and boom, that's the end of round 3. And then, like, barely 1 minute into the 3rd round, and Gurgen is back in the rankings. So, and I'm sure he's still trying to recover from his Patrick Mailata fight, where he went 8 rounds by majority decision and barely had the fight there, but after his win in April 3 months ago, and now this win, interesting. Fun fact, guys. I thought this was exaggerating because, guys, considering that Gurgen's heaviest weight in his career was at 274 pounds to 297 pounds. That's his least and most. So he is a big dude. Really big. 6'7", yeah. But in the month of April, he was 297 pounds. His opponent, Dawan Calloway, weighed at 421 pounds. So technically, we saw 300 under. We saw under 720 pounds of 2 overgrown men in a ring. I don't know what to tell you, viewers, but that's a little bit ridiculous coming from a horse's mouth. But technically, that was a fox's mouth. So take that for what you will. He is an overweight person, but considering that he is in the rankings, I do also like to point out one other thing, guys. I forgot to point out. On July the 26th, guys, in the country of Turkey, Umut Kamkiran, the Anatolian Lion, scored a round 3 KO win against Tadorshi Vetkov to win back his vacant WBC Asia heavyweight title. And that's kind of weird because he won the belt in February and then he won it vacantly, which is kind of weird. And considering that Umut Kamkiran at this moment, he managed to drop down 30 pounds from 286 5 months ago to be at 257, which is good. But considering he's 6 feet tall, that's good luck for him. Like, he's 24-0, 22 knockouts. So he's ranked number 37. At this moment, I do want to see him and Nelson Heisa fight it out. That would be something. Or Gurgen Havhanyansian, just to see where he can go. Because even though he's in the WBC, unfortunately, guys, the WBC ranking doesn't really think that he deserves to be in the spot. And to be honest, guys, as I'm looking up the WBC rankings as we're speaking, technically it's pretty tough to say. Let me try to look this up. The World Boxing Council .com. So in the rankings as of right now, I really can't say much about where Umut Kamkiran is going at this moment. And as we're speaking, it's going to be really hard for me to even find out if any of this is possible. The Bridgerweight is also in the division. Great. So technically, the division of the WBC rankings online do have multiple fighters. They have over 40 fighters ranked in the division. And Damian Niba from Poland is ranked number 40. Alexis Barrier from Canada, the best Canadian boxer, is ranked 37. Lazarbek Mojanov, number 35, gold medalist. Tony Yoka, number 33. And Ivan Daichko, two Olympians in 2016. He's number 34. Just like, yeah, it's ridiculous. And even Huggy Fury is ranked number 29, Tyson Fury's brother. Yoande Toirak is 27. Interesting. And some of these guys are championship titles. Like, yeah, definitely. Because, and you have Dillian White at number 18. But before you know it, guys, Umut Kamkiran is ranked only number 26. So at this moment, guys, even though the last time they updated the rankings was on July the 11th, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens next week, depending if they actually, sorry about that, upload the rankings, because I am curious to find out what's going to happen, because at this moment, guys, Umut Kamkiran doesn't really deserve much of this, but come on, just give the guy a chance. He kind of deserves it a little bit, but yet again, I don't want to corrupt the system because we don't know who this guy is. And even though I know who he is because I look up boxing and I'm online talking about this stuff, so I really can't say for certain what's going to happen other than I just have an itchy nose. And I'll say this before and I'll say it again. I'm not really a fan of oat milk, so not really my favorite drink. Yeah, not my favorite. All right. So technically, guys, for Umut Kamkiran and his win and Gurkan Havanyansan, it's going to be interesting of what the rankings are going to do in boxing, because any of these guys can go for world titles as a late replacement and take a big victory. They could be hype job contenders and go for a title just for luck. So who knows what's going to happen, guys, in the future? I am curious to find out what's going to happen other than whatever these guys are going to do. Wait, they're going to do something. Something big is going to happen, guys, but I don't know what's going to happen. But technically, guys, let me just say this. So, guys, let's just say what's going to happen in boxing in the next 5 years in 2030. I think it's going to change, but I don't know how it's going to change. Other than Bob Arum and Don King, they're in their 90s, mid-90s, and they're not going to live for long. Alexander Usyk might not be in the boxing ring as we know, and I do think 2026 he might not box again or so, depending how many videos I can upload of the podcast, because who knows. So whatever they're going to change, it depends on if the WBO and IBF follow along and they're going to bring in the Bridgeweight title for their own and see if women's boxing can get another chance depending on what's going to happen. I will say, though, it's going to be interesting, and we're going to bring in a lot of expertise, and we're going to try to divide it into a bunch of pieces as best as we can, because the more the merrier. I think the better it's going to get. So it's going to be interesting, but yet again, I wouldn't say too much about this yet, because technically the real story is that even though the WBC are still in the rankings today for having Deontay Wilder in the rankings again, and Justice Hooney is back after his loss, but yet again, guys, you still have these other fighters, because, guys, at this moment, guys, you already have Turki Al-Sheikh is already calling off with Alexander Usyk in the Joseph Parker fight. And then you have Derek Chisora saying that he knows how to take care of Alexander Usyk in his first meeting. But at this moment, if Alexander Usyk's rematches against Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and Moses Atama were more devastating than their first meeting, I don't think it's going to work well for Chisora. And let's be honest, guys, Kubrat Pulev, Agit Kabayel, and Joseph Parker are the interim champions of mandatory. So who knows what's going to happen? And even though you have Anthony Joshua still in the top 5 rankings, depending if you still think he deserves to be there after a full year of his loss against Daniel Dubois. And as for Daniel Dubois, guys, Daniel Dubois isn't even ranked in WBA, so for a good reason. As a former WBA World Heavyweight Champion, the regular champ, and an IBF former champ, I still count him as a 2-time heavyweight champion, even if people think his WBA regular wasn't legit. I still think it's legit as a major. So what else can I say about this stuff other than whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen. But yet again, guys, let's not get there yet, because I think the more we talk about this later in the month of August, there's not going to be a lot to talk about, because yet again, guys, we don't know when the next update's going to be. Because when I type in Alexander Usyk's next fight, date and time, like 9 hours ago, ladies and gentlemen, Give Me Sport went to their top story. Making talks are underway of the Alexander Usyk's next fight. For us, it's about MMA, they pointed out. And it's interesting because after talking about so much, they're already trying to point out of who his next opponent fighter is. And even though Usyk's teams are assessing options for their World Heavyweight Championship fights next, and to have a mixed martial artist contest in early of 2026, which is kind of weird for them to point that out. And they have even targeted the opponent for what would be Usyk's debut in a cage fight. Okay, so this is interesting information I haven't heard of before, guys, because considering this is my final topic, talking about Alexander Usyk right now, I really don't know what to say about this. So in early 2026, they're going to have Alexander Usyk in an MMA fight. That's guys, if someone said that they were going to have Alexander Usyk be involved in a bare knuckle fight, that's up to him. Yet again, combat sports are combat sports. But yet again, guys, I don't think boxing and MMA fights are going to be good because, guys, if Art Jimerson couldn't make it through 2 minutes with Royce Gracie in UFC 1 with one punching glove, or even another boxer that would fail early on as well in UFC against someone else, I don't think a boxer should be in the ring against an MMA fighter. Because, guys, as a professional boxer, you have to be within arm's and length reach of your arms in order to hit someone. While in MMA fighting, you can see Dan Severn out countering and out pointing out every single punch and managing to actually go through the gap against the Godfather in a brawl for all match without maybe not throwing a single punch. Because, guys, this accomplished, skillful boxer is out of his mind. Like, an undisputed champion, 2 weight class, and for everything else that he incorporated. And consider they're stating that he has incorporated mixed martial artists in the gym. And once he even said that mechanics from wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and sambo have buoyed his boxing abilities. Depending if that's true or not, like, don't get me wrong, he has done a lot of crazy things in his career before becoming a boxer and around the time when he was a soccer player, so I really can't say much about that. He's done a lot of crazy stuff. If you guys haven't heard about what he's done in the outside world, and has done a lot of crazy things, but I don't know, guys. I really don't know if this is a good idea because guys, this guy can take on a good amount of great fighters, but at this moment, I really can't say that this is worth it. And considering this update has been released 9 hours ago, I think my final thought to this is, where are we going from here and on? And is there anything else we can do? Because guys, the updates of the next fight for Alexander Usyk, this would be ridiculous. Like I said before, guys, they've already put out updates for Turki Al-Sheikh to have him and Joseph Parker, whether that's true or not. And like I said before, guys, considering that Alexander Usyk is the first ever boxer to become a 3-time undisputed champion in the 4-belt era, in the heavyweight, twice in heavyweight, and once in cruiserweight, and we have Terrence Crawford being the first to become a 3-weight class undisputed championship since 1938 with Henry Armstrong. After welterweight and featherweight, he would actually win the lightweight champion to become a 3-weight class undisputed champion. That was never been done before, and Terrence Crawford is trying to go for that as we speak. And by the way, guys, even days before that fight happens, like, Alexander Usyk might even break the record of the oldest undisputed championship with Jersey Joe Walcott still at 38 years old in a few months. And he's only 1 or so month away from holding all those 4 belts until, I think, September the 10th. So unless something crazy can happen, guys, I think my final thought to this is, whatever's going to happen, guys, who knows? But I think my final thought to this, guys, because I'm not going to make this episode long, because, guys, as this episode is being recorded right now, as of today, there's a couple other few episodes I'm recording right now. Supernatural Trails Season 4, Episode 6, the 3rd and final episode is already released, guys. And I'm already trying to finish that because next week, after that episode, there's going to be more Shotgun Saturday Night. So there's more episodes on Saturday for that. So I have to switch the dates up for Supernatural Trails. So I'm on the busy schedule here, guys, in the month of August and trying to get a lot of stuff done here. And after doing MLP, because I only have 2 months left of MLP stuff and Hunger Games for that, and I do have a couple interesting episodes to put out there as well for the time, it's going to be interesting to see, and I am interested to find out what's going to happen when time goes on. I'm sorry for not making this episode long, guys, but in hindsight, I really can't say much about it, guys. And by the way, guys, even if Usyk would fight again at one point, we don't know because guys, ever since Alexander Krassyuk, Usyk's former promoter, left him, now he's a free agent. On the 22nd, live on sportsnout.com, they've already awarded out 3 opponents that he could return, including Tyson Fury. And again, like I said before, I don't really say that much, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because, guys, there's going to be a lot of interesting things here to look at because, guys, as I said before, they did say Joseph Parker could be a good pick for him. And like I said before, Joseph Parker could be the pick for him. But, of course, even after his back-to-back upset wins against Wilder and Zhang, and with the McCauley fight being crazy enough, who knows if he's still prepared good after his Joe Joyce loss in September of 2022. He might have recovered a little bit from winning multiple fights in 2023 and had some hard doing with Joey Zhang. And the McCauley fight might have not been the fight he was looking for. So, considering he congratulated Usyk inside the ring following his win, called for his shot, and in a more respectful way. So we'll see what happens when that time comes. But for now, guys, we're just going to have to wait and see. Like I said before, guys, they've also awarded Agit Kabayel to be in this pick, but that would be an interesting fight, considering if that guy doesn't get knocked out again. Tyson Fury, I know. Joseph Parker and Agit Kabayel can be one of the 2 picks. But considering that the WBA is still awarding a 30-day extension, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens until that time comes. But with that being said, guys, we're going to have to wait and see. And with that being said, guys, I hope you viewers enjoyed the information of this episode. Sorry that this is not really an entertaining episode, but at the end of the day, guys, we're just going to have to wait and see. Even John Fury already pointed out that he just wants his son, Tyson Fury, to not box again. And to be honest, hearing that from a Fury, I think that's fatherly love there. But anyway, guys, it just goes to show you. There's a lot of tough stuff out there that we have to learn, so who knows? Tyson Fury says he wants to fight in 2026, but at this moment, it's just a waste of time. And even though, in my opinion, Usyk does have one fight to go 25-0, and that's probably better than going for a golden 50. A silver 25, I think that's something we should keep. So Usyk, I think he should retire after he fights Parker or Kabayel. It should be Parker, but we'll just wait and see. So with all that being said, guys, thank you for watching this episode. And with that being said, we'll just have to wait and see next time. See ya.